let's get it started. So it is week 3 power rankings. We've gotten to see all these teams play 2 games, which is clearly enough information to make a totally 100% absolutely factual list that could not be possibly proven wrong by the time the season is over. And look, I'll be honest, this list is realistically in 2 parts. It is the bottom part of my top 10 is mostly teams that I have been extremely impressed with through the first 2 weeks of this season. The top part of my top 10 are still the teams that, despite records, despite play, and a couple other factors, I still just genuinely feel like are the best teams in the NFL. So, again, absolutely no way to possibly be wrong. Let's get it started. Top 10 teams, according to me. Coming in at number 10, I still have this team. I think despite being 0-2, if you look at their next 4 games, the combined record, they've only got 1 win from the teams they're playing the next 4. They're going to rebound. They've been here before. This is my pick to win the AFC North. I'm not moving off that pick. Joe Burrow gets better as the season starts. He has been a career slow starter. And so my comfort level with them being in this position versus when Baltimore was in this position is this team, this coaching staff, this set of players, they've all been here before. Are there things to dislike? Sure. Is their defense probably not as good as it's been in year past besides Hendrickson? Absolutely valid. Do I love Jamar Chase, who looks like he's extremely upset because the Bengals did not pay him and they did not come to a contract extension? That he's, he took out the insurance policy, which I get, and yeah, he's just annoyed. He wants to get paid. Understandable. But I still have a lot of faith in this team. I still think they're going to be there at the end. They're my number 10 team. Again, a lot of the bottom part of this are teams that have surprised me the most. I watched them play the Chiefs. Still have faith. This isn't a surprise. This is the team that I still feel the best about despite the record. Number 9 is the Chargers. And we just got to be honest here. I don't like the Chargers. I don't like giving them credit for anything. I don't like giving them props. I don't like giving them compliments. I am 1,000% biased in this regard. But the reality is the Chargers, while I still don't think they're going to be a playoff team when it's all said and done. I think some of this is they came out the gate and they know exactly who they are. Now, who they are might not be good enough over the course of 17 games, but to come out the season, they're running the ball. Herbert's not making mistakes. No, is he throwing for crazy numbers? Not at all. The emergence of Quentin Johnson after a horrible rookie season, that's a positive sign. Obviously, what their 2 tackles are doing, dominating, all that stuff looks great. This feels like it's weird because Herbert is their best player, but they're almost not utilizing him and having more success. It's kind of similar to what the Bills did last year with Josh Allen towards the end. But they know who they are. And this is going to be one of those teams that's going to be incredibly hard to get them off their game plan because even with a star talent, star level quarterback, Jim Harbaugh is totally okay to run the ball 50 times with J.K. Dobbins. Number 8 is the Minnesota Vikings. Look, Kevin O'Connell, I put him into my great coach category yesterday, and I stand on that. What they're doing with Sam Darnold, this is similar to the Chargers situation. I still think I'm just not a Sam Darnold believer, and I think eventually Sam Darnold doing the stuff Sam Darnold has done throughout his career will show up, it will matter, and it will be the thing that kind of holds them back. But again, you can't deny the results. They beat the Giants handily. The score wasn't totally lopsided, but they were in complete control of that game against the 49ers. Again, the talent of these bottom 5 of my top 10, they're not going to be able to compete with the top end of this talent. But you got to give it up for them. Like the regular season, while I don't think it's as simple as just going, these teams are 2-0, these teams are 1-1, these teams are 0-2, you have to give some credit to the teams that come out and perform at the beginning of the season. And maybe no one has performed better the first 2 weeks of the season, maybe in NFL history, than the New Orleans Saints. All the stats are wild. 15 straight drives with a touchdown. Derek Carr would be your week 2 MVP, which is the stupidest segment anyone does on a radio show or any kind of sports TV show. But you can't deny the results, man. The New Orleans Saints, they've been coming out, kicking everybody's ass. They've been playing great. The offense looks amazing. I said yesterday, and this is where Clint Kubiak is going to have to really make his name, because right now he has buzz, he has attention, he has everyone's ear, but we are going to see Is he just trying to show you that his scheme is better than everybody else's? Or is he proving that he is making an actual game plan on a game-by-game basis? And that's why it looks so dominant against Dallas. Again, now there's more tape on him. Guys are going to start to pick up tendencies. So we're going to see, can you make a game plan or you just have a scheme that is clever for a few weeks and the rest of the league will catch up? But you cannot deny what they've done in the first 2 weeks. Maybe the most impressive team to everybody watching, except for me, it's the second most impressive team that I've seen in the first 2 weeks, and the Bucs are the most impressive. Look, I have Detroit in a really, really high space in my mind, and to go into Detroit, get that win, they obviously dominated week 1 against the Washington Commanders, but that win yesterday was one of the most impressive early season wins you could possibly have. Going into one of what was on mine and a lot of the media's consensus top 5 teams in football, a team that is tough, a team that is physical, offensive line, defensive line, and it wasn't like they just dominated. They just go in there and catch Detroit on an off day. No, Aiden Hutchinson had 3 sacks in the first half. Detroit was still playing like Detroit, and Baker, to his credit, he was making the right throws, not turning the ball over. He had the one where he shook a guy out of his shoes, which is insane to see in real time. That was one of the most impressive wins. Do I think they're going to be here by season's end? No. But again, the first couple of games, they got to matter for something. And so the Buccaneers, to me, I know the Saints are scoring 1 million points, but the Buccaneers have been the most impressive team I've seen 2 weeks in if we're just evaluating play off the first 2 weeks. At number 5, I still think the Lions are stacked. I still think offensive line, defensive line, the talent on this team, the age of this roster. I understand, yes, they just lost to Tampa. I get it. And I just gave Tampa a lot of love, and that was an amazing win. But if you ask me, who do I want come playoff time, what roster, what quarterback, what coach, almost every single time I'm going to go with Detroit. Now, maybe I'm proven wrong at some point, but I have the conviction that this was a top 3 to 4 team in the NFL prior to the season starting, and 2 weeks isn't going to take that out of me. Did Tampa have an incredibly impressive win? Absolutely. But the Detroit Lions, to me, are at no worse after 2 weeks a top 5 football team in the NFL. At number 4, the Buffalo Bills, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. They have transitioned very quietly from being Josh Allen super usage to just Josh Allen is there, and if we need Superman, we can use him. Like, there's a really funny story. Like, if you want to compare Josh Allen to James Harden when he was on the Rockets, their usage rate, there's not a usage rate in the NFL, but if they were, that was kind of the level he was floating at. He was their running game, he was their passing game, he was basically everything. And so he went from that to the end of last season. They started running the ball. They're still playing great defense. Sean McDermott does not get enough credit for being, I know we've all thought, and I agree with this too, that, you need an offensive coordinator, offensive mind. Sean McDermott turns out a good defense no matter how many guys end up on IR, no matter how many guys miss games. He can just scheme up a defense. Buffalo again has a great defense. Buffalo's got a running game with Cook. And now they have Josh Allen, who they no longer need to sit there and be Superman during these games. He can just be okay or just good, and they're winning games. And if they need a Superman-esque play, this is protecting him, keeping him fresher. He doesn't have to be the MVP of the regular season. This, I think, is going to play a big role when it comes time for playoff time. At number 3, man, I said CJ yesterday. I think he's got to be, you have to move him up. So, like, Mahomes and Allen, to me, are the 2 quarterbacks that work anywhere. CJ, you got to move him up into that class. I love D'Amico. I love what they're doing with the roster. But this is mostly a CJ Stroud pick for me. I think CJ Stroud is the fucking man. He is in that top 3 quarterback conversation. And what they did for him this offseason, getting him Joe Mixon, getting him Stephon Diggs, that defense under D'Amico's playing, like, if there wasn't that dude in Kansas City playing, this would be my team to pick from the AFC. Just if 15 did not exist, this would be the team for me in the AFC. There's just so much to like here. There's very few things to dislike or pick apart. And it is just incredible, this 24-month transformation, not even a full 24-month transformation, where they went from potentially picking number one in the NFL draft to they're a Super Bowl team. It's incredible. At number 2, again, I thought this was the best team overall in football, top to bottom. I can name them all off again. I got 8 to 9 guys who are all pro level. Brock Purdy, when he's playing, whether you think he is really this guy or you think it's just the support, when he's at his best, he plays all pro level-esque. And 2 weeks aren't going to deter me for that, especially since they look dominant week 1. Week 2, I think with Ayuk's rust is an issue. But I'm not really that even concerned about the Christian McCaffrey injury because, again, this is Kyle Shanahan, just like his dad. Anyone's going to be able to make that offense work, running the ball. Mason, 100-plus yards first 2 games. I don't think they're going to really suffer there. The Debo injury, again, I think with Jennings, if Ayuk knocks the rust off, George Kittle started to look like himself last game. This team, to me, is still top to bottom. It's loaded. They should still be representing the NFC at the end of the year. And at number 1, I hate them. I can't stand them. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, there's what are we gonna say? I'm a hater. I'm very vocal about that. But the reality is, until they really get knocked off, like someone has to knock them off this spot. They're not just gonna lose it. And that game on Sunday was a perfect example. The Bengals came, they were swinging. The Ravens even too. Like, both teams have come at them, really good game plans, really aggressive, and still just not quite getting it there. We're not going to blame the refs. Yes, you can blame the refs any game. There's always questionable calls, but this is the number 1 team. In my opinion, these are the 10 best teams in the NFL. Now, again, the bottom part is more who I've been more impressed with this season versus the top part is who I firmly believe those are the 5 best teams in football.